Hi guys, so when making this video, the results of the local elections in Great Britain and the Assembly elections in Northern Ireland were still coming in, but at this time it seems that Sinn Féin will become the biggest party in Northern Ireland. This will see for the first time their party being given the position of First Minister, and this has also seen two other parties, the moderate Unionist and moderate Nationalist parties, the UUP and SDLP, taking a real beating. Alastair Campbell, Tony Blair's former spokesman, explained what is going on in Northern Ireland and perhaps that this is more important than the local elections in Great Britain. Have a listen.
Of course, the Northern Ireland Agreement, which you were very much involved with, certainly your leader was, allows for that border referendum to take place.
Well, I really hope that if Sinn Féin do come top of the poll in Northern Ireland, I hope the DUP understand that they have a constitutional duty to go along with the Good Friday Agreement, and that they shouldn't just sort of dig their heels in and say, no, I'm not serving alongside Sinn Féin. I was in Ireland last week, and it's interesting how Sinn Féin are doing pretty well in the north and they're doing pretty well in the south, and there's a lot of concern about what that means in terms of how we go forward. And I really do think, I saw an interview yesterday with Lord David Frost, who of course was the author of the protocol, which is causing so much problem. The cavalier disregard that this government is showing to the detail of what's happening in Northern Ireland is one of the most disgusting things about this government. It is sensitive, it is difficult, and I think this is actually going to be, once we've talked about the Tories and Labour and Lib Dems and everything else, I think this could be the most significant outcome of this election, and how it is handled will decide and will dictate whether we go into a period of relative calm or a period of real instability. And I think they've all got to step up and understand the seriousness of where we are.
I agree with him 100%. And I think Alastair Campbell is somebody who knows these things better than many others. Now, what's the likely outcome here? So it's looking at the moment that Sinn Féin will become the largest party. They will have the role of First Minister, and the DUP will likely be given the role of Deputy First Minister. Now, this would represent a sea change. Unionism coming to an end in a sense, not completely, but it would mean that Unionist power in Northern Ireland, where they control the levers of power, that period is over. They have to share power with Sinn Féin, and they have to share power with Nationalists in Northern Ireland. Now, many people look at this and see this as, oh, okay, what we're going to see next is a border poll. And I think it's important to remember that most people did not come out and vote for Sinn Féin because of the traditional politics of Sinn Féin, but because of the cost of living crisis. And the DUP have taken a bit of a hit here as well, because they were focusing on the constitutional issues and not on the cost of living crisis. And this has caused them to lose seats to the Alliance Party. So many people on the Unionist side who are concerned about the cost of living crisis, about the NHS, issues like that, decided, I'm not actually going to vote for the DUP, I'm going to vote for the Alliance Party. Now, I think on the other side, many people are concerned about, of course, the cost of living crisis, and they went to vote for Sinn Féin. Not so much on the idea, with the idea of, yes, we're going to vote for Sinn Féin so we get a united Ireland further down the road. I think this was mainly about bread and butter issues. Now, as Alastair Campbell pointed out here, there's a risk that the DUP will dig their heels in and refuse to join the Assembly, join the executive, the government, if you want to say, in Northern Ireland. And I think this is probably, I hope it doesn't happen, I hope I'm wrong here, but I think what's going to happen is the DUP are going to resist. They're going to say, we're not going into government with Sinn Féin, and they will hope that this will push the UK government and the EU into providing more concessions on the Northern Ireland Protocol. Now, I had hoped that Sinn Féin and the DUP would form an executive together and we wouldn't have to talk about the protocol, but I think the DUP will try to extract some sort of concessions and say, look, if you want to have us go into government, we will, but we want some changes made to the protocol so we can sell this to our voters. And I think this is what the DUP line will be. The EU will likely make some cosmetic changes to the the implementation of the protocol, this may be enough to sell a victory, sell it as a victory to the DUP and to the British government, and then we can get on with having an executive in Northern Ireland. There isn't a hurry to do this. The executive does not have to sit immediately, but the longer this is left, the more concern there will be for people in Northern Ireland about resolving the problems of the cost of living crisis. Because if it's not resolved, power will return to Westminster, and nobody in Northern Ireland wants that. So I think going forward, we're going to see Sinn Féin and the DUP eventually sitting down and forming an executive. I hope it happens sooner rather than later. But knowing the DUP, they will throw a tantrum and hope to get some try to get some concessions out of both the UK government and the EU over this. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.